Professor Liu Bin. If you ever wonder whether a PhD from NUS can ever help you become not only an award-winning world-class researcher, but can even put you at the pinnacle of your career, look no further. Professor Liu exemplifies how far one can go with a PhD degree from NUS. She hails from Nanjing University before she pursued her PhD at NUS in chemistry. As a scientist, she is now a world leader in the field of organic functional materials with applications for biomedical research, environmental monitoring, as well as energy devices. She has been named as the world's most influential minds and the top 1% most highly cited researchers in material science by both Reuters and Clarivate Analytics. Significantly, Professor Liu has recently been awarded the prestigious Royal Society of Chemistry Centenarial Prize in recognition of her work in organic materials and nanomaterials. Not only is she a world leader scientifically, academically, she has also risen in her career to be the Vice President of Research and Technology at the National University of Singapore. So without much further ado, let's hear from Professor Liu as she shares about why she's proud to be an NUS graduate. All yours.
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, let me share the slides first. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really excited to share with you my experience, not only as a student, but also as a faculty. NUS actually has always been one of the best universities in my mind. And in fact, it is one of the best in the world and also one of the very top in Asia. I sincerely hope that you had the opportunity or you will have the opportunity to visit and better to join us to experience this wonderful and exciting campus. So this is one of the photos of our university town. Many of our students live and study there. As of now, NUS has 17 schools with 16 subjects that's ranked at the world top 10. And we're very proud of the graduates that we produce because they are highly sought after in the global market. My journey with NUS started in 1998. And this photo was taken on the day when I was interviewed by NUS Department of Chemistry. So I just keep this photo for a long, long time. It's very precious. 3 years later, my PhD training with NUS enabled me to secure a position in the center that is led by Professor Alan Heger, who won the Nobel Prize in 2000 for his grand discovery of conducting polymers. So I worked there for 2 years as a postdoc and 3 years as a research assistant professor before I had a great opportunity to return to NUS as an assistant professor of chemical engineering. And about 10 years later, I was appointed as the head of the department so that I had a greater opportunity to give back to NUS community. My PhD was a little bit special and it's a lot shorter as compared to my peers, but it was not easy. And what I liked the most about my PhD experience or why I choose NUS PhD is primarily 3 considerations. The first one is the research topics and research directions. I wanted to work in something I'm really passionate about, and I want this area to be really a pioneering area that will have far-reaching impact. And I hope that I will have the opportunity to really be able to get access to all the facilities that I needed in order to finish my research topics. And I also liked very much the opportunity that NUS granted to me, which was the international exposure. Even 20 years ago, I was given many opportunities to attend seminars, to travel overseas, to make friends. And some of the friends actually remained my collaborators until now, even after 10 years later. So I was trained as an organic chemist from Nanjing University, and I had few publications, and I thought it's very straightforward for me to switch from organic chemistry to polymer, just like that. So proof like Lai Yihing, who is still within NUS, he was my PhD supervisor. At that time, he was working on the conducting polymers with a strong focus on making organic polymers actually dispersible or soluble in the aqueous media. So that was an extremely challenging topic by then, and even by now it was pursuing. So what I learned through the PhD training, the first thing was patience. I thought I would do well, but I had so many problems and I faced so many challenges that almost during the first 1 year, I probably didn't get any positive results. But Prof. Lai was so kind and so encouraging. He always told me that if I keep on going, one day I will be able to solve the problem, even though I wasn't too sure by then, but I just tried and tried. And eventually I was able to come up with a solution. So that also teaches me when we faces the challenges, right? It is very important to have the perseverance. PhD, I think for most of us, PhD is not something trivial. It's not something straightforward. We're not that smart to make it so smooth and easy, just go like that. All right, while many of us actually were talking about collaborative research, collaboration, I do acknowledge collaboration is super important, but I would like to highlight and share with you that being independent is critical. So when I was working on this project, it was so challenging and so new at that time. There wasn't much of the literature that I can refer to. There were not many people that I can talk to, and there were not many preceded examples that I can reference to. So all what I can do is to think about it and plan and try and then fail and then restart again, right? So through this kind of multiple process, I learned to be independent, to be able to solve some of the most critical problems that I faced as a PhD. Now, when I look back, so this PhD experience not only taught me how to do research, but more importantly, it trained me to be a strong person, and it trained me how to really face the complex problem. When I face a problem that is so big, so complex with no solution, now I knew that I can actually dissect this big complex problem into smaller pieces and then solve each of them so that I will be able to find a solution to address that. So the first year of my PhD was really miserable in the way that I fail and fail and fail. So I keep on going like that. And I, thanks to Prof. Lai, he really encouraged me a lot so that I can kind of regain the confidence again until one day the miracle happened. And I didn't know how that happened. But since that day onwards, the second year was like miracle. Every day was successful and every experiment worked just like that. So I'm very grateful to the flexibility of the NUS education system. So at the end of the day, Prof. Lai actually granted me to graduate way in advance within a very short period of time. Then I happily went to UC Santa Barbara, which is the beautiful campus that is located next to the beach. And if you see this brown building at the center right corner of this photo, that is the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. It's just about 10 to 15 meters away from the beach. You can imagine I spent 5 years there. Most of my lunch actually was taken at the beach. That was a wonderful, wonderful memory. So what I did there was to definitely do research, stay very focused on polymers and how I can make polymers really water dispersible. So this was the lab. I stayed there first as a postdoc for 2 years, and then later as the research assistant professor for another nearly 3 years. What I proved was that NUS was and is and will constantly be able to produce high quality graduate. And I was really proud that when I was working in the big group that is led by Alan Heger, we had a lot of postdoc students from across the world. I trust they're all the best from whatever their region, countries whatsoever to come together. We work together, we exchange ideas, and we also compete with each other. But I'm happy to share with you that NUS graduate is highly competitive, even at the global setting. And I also want to share with you that this gentleman, smiling very big, is Guy Bazin, who was a distinguished professor of UC Santa Barbara, and I worked with him for nearly 5 years when I was there. And he decided to join NUS last year, jointly appointed by Chemistry Department and Chemical Engineering Department. So you can imagine that when world best professors decided to join us, I can imagine NUS is really a very attractive place for young minds like you. So after the 5 years at UC Santa Barbara, I decided to come back to NUS. So I made a very bold decision. Instead of going back to Faculty of Science Chemistry Department, I actually chose to join Chemical Engineering. That was a very brave, tough decision. It's quite difficult, but it's very rewarding when I look back to that choice by then. So I understand most of our students are looking for the research areas or research directions that are highly multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, right? In NUS, we have this kind of culture. Even within a single group, we're conducting a lot of multidisciplinary research. So I am actually a living example of NUS graduate who was trained as a chemist and now sitting in the chemical engineering and doing biomedical research. So I built a research team in chemical engineering, or broadly speaking in engineering, is for the sake that we not only focus on fundamental research, we also wanted to do translation to make sure that our research can be translated into something that will benefit the society immediately. So I'm very grateful to the support of Singapore and NUS. So I was able to build a large research group. And I'm also very excited to share with you, look at how many beautiful girls I have in my research group, right? It's just tell you that regardless of men, women, boys, and girls, right? Everybody can choose to do anything as far as that is within your passion. So our research group is primarily focused on nanomaterials, and more specifically, organic nanomaterials, where we care about a lot of organic molecules with all different kind of functionalities. And our goal is to find a strategy, in this case, we call nanoformulation, to bring all the organic molecules into the aqueous media so that we can explore their applications, potentials, and all these properties what can be applied to solve any specific real problem. So I give you a few examples. So the first one is a cellular tracker, which is the organic nanoparticle that is specific to identify cancer cells, to understand the migration of cancer cells, for example, cancer metastasis, and also help us to visualize a lot of biological species, biological processes. The second example is the vascular tracker. So what you see in this image actually is a three-dimensional mice brain vascular image. We can clearly visualize, every vascular structure that provide a very good guidance for the surgeon during the surgery. And we're also able to integrate all different kind of functions into the same molecule and formulate nanoparticles so that they're not only offer the sensing imaging functions, but also can be used to effectively kill the bacteria, cancer cells, and even virus. And we also look into the surface chemistry so that we're able to integrate the high specificity by conjugating, for example, DNAs, proteins, and other recognition elements onto the surface of the particles. And in this particular example, we're producing nanoparticle conjugates that are highly specific to capture the coronavirus. And we're leading a large research group that is really composed a lot of people from science to engineering, biology to medicine to clinician and physics, etc., working on how we can effectively deliver the drug and imaging reagents to the brain tumor, and meanwhile, build a handheld photoacoustic system that allows the neuron surgeons to be able to operate under the image-guided surgery and therapy. Just like many of our colleagues, our research are pushing forward the research frontiers, and we're really doing very exciting research that not only focus on fundamental science, but also show great potentials in, for example, saving the life or fight climate change, etc. And this kind of excitement, I really wanted to share with every one of us, particularly the young minds, that we hope you will consider to join the exciting NUS research community so that we can bring our research to the next level of excellence. 5 years ago, I was appointed as the NUS Chemical Engineering head, which our chemical engineering is one of the largest chemical engineering departments in the world. And I'm very proud to share with you that with almost 1,400 students and staff, okay, it is only managed about 40 faculty members, right? It's really a mixture of young, old, senior, junior, energetic people and experienced people, right? We're all united together to bring NUS Chemical Engineering to the next level of excellence. Now, when we talk about chemical engineering, many people will naturally think of petrochemical, oil and gas, oil refinery, the system control, which are truly traditional chemical engineering that only forms part of NUS chemical engineering education. At NUS, we research actually from chemicals to biomolecules. For example, during the pandemic, NUS chemical engineering actually is producing the detection kits for coronavirus detection. And we're also working on the carriers for gene delivery to really trying to find a solution to kill the virus. And we built from very small scale, for example, molecular scale, look at the drugs, drug formulation, and how that is linked to our healthcare and personal care. But we're also looking into plants, factories that are gigantic systems. For example, we're looking into the porous materials that can capture the CO2 from the ambient air and the flue gas. And subsequently, we can use the CO2 undergo the catalysis reaction to form green fuel. Chemical engineering, we are producing membrane technology that is currently offering clean water for 5 million people. And our colleagues is also working on the effective strategy to produce hydrogen with a higher yield at a much lower cost so that green hydrogen can become economically viable for Singapore, Southeast Asia, and even broader community. NUS Chemical Engineering is keep on evolving, learning, and we embrace the machine learning and artificial intelligence in our materials innovation and chemical process design. And during the pandemic, we also transformed our supply chain solutions to provide a lot of valuable suggestions for the community. Chemical engineering is just one of the examples of the NUS research portfolio, right? We're leading the cutting edge research programs in, for example, climate change defense, green energy, pharmaceutical innovation, nanomedicine, waste energy, the membrane for water treatment, for oil gas refinery. And we're also holding the world record in terms of the solar cell efficiency for the tandem cell that is made of the organic photovoltaics and perovskites. I understand that for the younger generation, there's one passion and dream is to build up the startup companies. So at NUS, we have programs and training facilities to nurture your startup ideas and turn your ideas into reality. So now I take chemical engineering as an example. Over the past 3-4 years, we have built 15 startups. I only list here 12 of them that across 4 broad disciplines of membrane, energy, biotech, and nanotechnology. And I want to highlight a special program called NUS GRRP, which is the Graduate Research Innovative Program that is specially designed for our graduate students who have the dream to turn your ideas into a startup. So we're looking forward to build more companies with many of you who are interested in joining NUS. We do have a huge amount of alumni, 330,000 across the whole NUS community, and particularly 5,000 associates with NUS Chemical Engineering that will offer you the career opportunities. And I really wanted to highlight that during the pandemic, our alumni helped us a lot in securing the jobs for our current graduates, in sharing with us the knowledge they had over the past decades of the glory of the challenges that they had or they faced during their career. NUS Chemical Engineering is just one of the great departments that we have across the whole community. We are constantly working together in bringing NUS into the top dream list of universities that every younger generation is aspired to join. This is my last slide. I really hope that you could consider joining NUS for a great PhD experience like what I did. NUS is such a wonderful place with tremendous promise and potential and waiting for you to explore. If you wanted to continue to talk to me, I can be reached at the email of chehead@nus.edu.sg. And I'm happy to take any of your questions now. Thank you.
Thank